Logical response.
I'm going to say something outrageous.
We're journeying closer and closer to the sun. Code red.
The more pain, the more benefit.
Let me be clear.
There's the first time for everything.
I was going to put him.
Okay.
Yeah. Kleptocracy.
Excuse me, you had people like
The guys who are the kleptocracies.
that you like to be able to. Anyway.
We choose truth over facts. And I met with him and
Hang on.
kleptocracy.
Sorry. Oh.
I wonder what unclear would sound like.
$2.3 billion. Today I'm making the largest investment ever.
$2.3 billion.
To help communities across the country build infrastructure that's designed to withstand the full range of disasters we've been seeing up to today. Extreme heat,
Since when did heat become a disaster?
drought, flooding, hurricanes, tornadoes.
The more pain we are all experiencing from the high price of gas, the more benefit there is for those who can access electric vehicles.
Now, I wish somebody would pull him to the side. Please lay out your argument. How did you deduce that? Because generally when people have to pay more for something, that means they have less money, therefore less access to something more expensive. That makes zero sense. And when I mean zero, I mean 100. Like, it's 100% nothing. It's all of it except none of it. That's how much sense that made.
And this particular design is a T-shape and across the back seat area. Because everybody thought we killed the electric vehicle. It's alive and well.
So what's charging the batteries right now? What's the source of
Well, here, it's coming from the building.
I mean, is it what's their mix of power?
Oh, actually, Lansing feeds the building.
What's that?
Lansing feeds power to the building. So I don't know.
They're
I bet you they're a bit of coal. They're heavy on natural gas, aren't they?
the car's charging off of your grid.
Right. It would be charging off our grid, which is about 95% coal.
A lot of your folks on the right love to use that, what just happened right there, as a gotcha. But it's not, really, because I kind of agree with the left on this one. The more cars you take off the road that have internal combustion engines, the better. I mean, every little bit helps. Sure, the power plant is burning coal, but at least your car isn't. He thinks cars run on coal or something. Idiot. And yeah, the batteries that were made in it were shipped on a ship that uses diesel engines, sure, but it's one less car. It's not much, but it's something. Eventually, when you have more electric cars on the road than internal combustion engine cars, we'll be doing a lot better. Regardless, it would still add benefit.
The UN's leading international climate scientists call the latest climate report nothing less than, quote, code red for humanity. Let me say it again. Code red for humanity.
See, and that right there is one of the ways the left has become so radical. It's just completely crazy. I mean, they're acting like, 5 years from now, the climate's just going to change and it's not going to be habitable for humans. Well, that's just
Malarkey.
It is kind of crazy. And, I was able to take a look into a leftist. I was able to look into their mind. And this is basically how they view climate change in their head. Watch.
Red alert. All hands stand to battle stations. Main and intercept course for the Romulan ship. Shields up, load on to warp factor 8. Engage.
I have a responsibility to act with urgency and resolve when our nation faces clear and present danger.
Well, based off that definition, you are also a clear and present danger.
And that's what climate change is about.
No, climate change is actually about the climate changing, hence the term climate change.
It is literally, not figuratively, a clear and present danger.
No, it's not.
The health of our citizens and our communities is literally at stake. The UN's leading international climate scientists call the latest climate report nothing less than, quote, code red for humanity. Let me say it again. Code red for humanity. Climate change is an emergency. And in the coming weeks, I'm going to use the power I have as president to turn these words into formal, official government actions through the appropriate proclamations, executive orders, and regulatory power that a president possesses. When it comes to fighting the climate change, I will not take no for an answer.
So this idea that we can make people poor, hungry, cold, or hot by scaling back food production and disrupting energy supplies, and that's somehow going to save the planet, is as backwards a conception as any dimwit could possibly formulate.
$2.3 billion to help communities across the country build infrastructure.
Coming back to Joe saying he's investing $2.3 billion, infrastructure programs, power grid, and whatnot. I had this harebrained idea about this, and with all the money that the U.S. government spends, I went and looked up the rough estimate of how many homes there are in the United States. Estimates are about 140 million houses. Then I went and looked up the average cost of installing solar panels on a house up to the point of sustainment to where it would produce enough electricity for that house. That averaged out to about $13,500, which really isn't bad. I figured it would have been much higher than that, but that was the average. So putting those two together, I calculated it, $1.82 trillion could put solar panels on every single house in America. Joe Biden spends that much all the time. $3 trillion for this bill and $1.5 trillion for this bill. Why not just put solar panels on every house in the United States and be done with it? That would cut CO2 emissions by a lot, a whole lot. More, in fact, I looked this up also, than if everybody had an electric car in the United States. Which would cost a lot more, by the way.
That's not how it works. That's not how any of this works.
Like I said, I'm just an idiot, but I do have thoughts, and they are coherent, unlike somebody I know.
This is what a transition looks like, right? This is exactly the challenge that we're living through. You can't flip a switch. You can't do it overnight.
Yeah, it's funny he brings that up, because I was thinking the same thing. Climate alarmists have been saying this stuff for years, since the 60s. In 10 years, we're going to be out of fossil fuels, and then it was in 10 years, the ozone layer is going to deplete and irradiate everybody on the planet, and then in 10 years, all the ice caps are going to melt and flood the entire planet. I exaggerated that one, but it's always been 10 years out. That's not to say that we're not causing some climate change, and there's a lot of evidence to show that. But the thing is, it's not going to be in 10 years. And yes, you can't do it overnight, but you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. There's no way right now, if everybody were to get an electric car, let's say even in 2 years, the entire United States population has electric vehicles. There's not enough charging stations yet. So you gotta wait for this stuff to be built. You gotta build the infrastructure first. I don't know why they're so alarmed about this. Like, we gotta do it now. We gotta do it now. Well, we can't do it now. It's gonna take many, many years. And it's already taken many, many years because we started this transition a long time ago. Relatively speaking. They're just trying to get everybody scared so we'll vote for them, because they're doing something about the climate. But for everybody who makes it this far in the video, go out and look up some of this stuff on climate change. Read some articles, read some papers. It's very insightful. And if you made it this far, I would appreciate a subscribe. It doesn't really cost anything, just click that button if you don't mind. A like would be awesome too, but if the video is crap, then I wouldn't give it a like. But But thanks for watching. Remember, stay positive.